Now let's jump into the exercises. What you will do is that every evening before going to bed, from now until the end of the course, you will sit on a chair or wherever you want and close your eyes, okay? And you will picture yourself into a situation where you're talking with a woman. In any situation, it's not important. Any woman, it doesn't matter. And what we're going to do is that we are going to isolate the skill of creating sexual arousal. We are going to isolate this skill of escalating in a way that creates sexual arousal. We are going to isolate this skill from all the rest of the skills so that you can work on this properly and get a habit of it, get some intuition about it. So you will picture yourself in your mind. Do it now. Close your eyes now. Picture yourself. Picture a place. Think of a place where you could be with a woman standing up. Anywhere. It doesn't matter. To make it a bit more real, find 3 elements that are within that place. May it be objects, may it be an atmosphere, may it be a smell, may it be sensation, may it be a sound. No matter what, just find 3 things so that it is a bit more real for your brain. Now, picture a woman in this place. Same thing, find 3 elements about her. Her hair, her eyes, maybe her nose, the way she's dressed, heels, I don't know. However, no matter what, it's not important. Just picture 3 things so it's more real for your brain. You know what? Just go say hi to this woman. Hi, okay, great, it's done. Now what you will do is that from here, imagine that this is another dimension. This is another reality. This is not the normal reality. This is another one. And in this reality, she is always at the highest level of investment possible. She wants to do everything you want her to do. Everything, she's fine with it. It only depends upon you. You do whatever you want with this woman. No matter where it is, no matter who it is, you do what you want. And you will always have the green light. She will always be looking at you straight in the eyes with a huge smile, and she will always be perceiving you as perfect. No matter what you do, even if you're stressed, no matter what, she thinks you're perfect. She thinks you're the best man in the world. She's in love, no matter what. Okay? From here, first you can do whatever you want. You can escalate as much as you want. You can do whatever you want. But more than that, you can also make her do whatever you want. Which means you decide what she says, how she behaves. You don't even have to ask her to do anything. She just does whatever you think about. Basically, you decide what you do and what she does as well. You are the master of the 2 characters of the scene. So you are into your own character, you are yourself, and there is this girl in front of you. So she does whatever you want her to do, and you do whatever you want. Now, here is the challenge. Take, let's say, 5 minutes. So you will have a 5-minute timer, and during those 5 minutes, your goal is to, before the end of the 5 minutes, have found a way to get the interaction arousing, sexually arousing for you. At first it will be hard because you're not in the state to get aroused. You don't have momentum, but after 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes of trying, you will get a bit creative, you will get in that state. And now toward the end, you will have idea about how to make it arousing. So let's be a bit more precise about what you will do in the exercise. Let's give a bit of background why this exercise. Here is the thing. Game seduction, dating is not about knowing what to do to create interest. Seduction is not at all about knowing what to do to make her interested in you, to make her want you to bring things forward. Seduction is about knowing what to do when this is the case. We don't give a shit about when it's not the case. Seduction is about when she's interested and when she wants you to bring things forward. Here is where you need to know what to do. There is 2 games. The first one is making her interested. The second one is knowing what to do once she is. And this is 2 very different games. And the second one is as difficult as the first one. If you are not attractive, you will have as much difficulty to master the first one as to master the second one once you discover it. And you will see why. Alright? And the thing is that for many reasons that we will see later, the way to master the first game is to master the second game. By mastering the second game without giving a shit about the first one, you actually become optimal about the first one. Remember the catch-22. If you just go for the escalation as if she already wants it, either she will not want, and at least you have limited the amount of suffering. She can be mad, but the best thing is that, yeah, it creates her wanting for you to escalate. We've talked about it. Just go back to the section if you forgot. Moreover, we will see later how important it is to be aiming for the situations that are going well in your mind. Not be thinking about what will I do if it doesn't go well, but only about what will I do if it goes well. We will talk about it later, but this is very important to give you this alpha vibe. The alpha vibe comes from this, from focusing on the game 2 and not on the game 1. The problem is that, as I said, the game 2 is extremely difficult actually. Many girls, they will be attracted to you, but it will go nowhere because you don't master the second game, which is the most important because of what I just explained. And so what you will see, for example, is that you will be doing this exercise that I just gave you, and you will have no idea what to do. No idea. Whoa, what am I doing? I don't know how to get aroused. You could even think about yourself having sex with her right now. It will not create any arousal in your body. Remember, arousal is picture in the mind of escalation. Now you think of escalation, it doesn't create anything. Why? Remember, because we need the right state for the arousal to happen. Remember the voice, this. Remember, escalation is not enough. We need to take the parasite thought out as well. And this is complex. And for this is as well why we need creativity, because it helps to get the parasite thought away. It gets you into a flow state. You're focused into what you're doing. And now when you escalate, it creates arousal. And in the same way, escalating needs to be done in a way that creates this state. So there is this double thing, this double polarity between the things that create the state from which the arousal can happen, and the things they as well create escalation, as we saw with the intonation, the eye contact. It creates the state, but as well it creates some form of escalation. And in the same way, when you escalate, you want to do it in a way that creates the state as well. Both are the same thing in the end. So for example, it will depend on a lot of things. It's about creativity. But if, for example, you start touching her, why is it way more exciting to, for example, slowly put your hand around her shoulder and caressing the shoulder back slowly toward the arm and looking at her in the eyes, just feeling the sensation? Is going to be very sexually arousing. If you just go straight to her pussy and start to do things like this, it will be way less arousing for you if she puts her hand directly on your dick and starts doing things. It's not going to be that much arousing. But if first she goes a bit closer to you, she shows a bit her how do you call that? Cleavage. Maybe her tits touches you slightly, not too much, just slightly. This creates a lot of arousal because at the same time of the escalation, it creates the state that we want, which allows the parasite thought to go out. So you want to be able to do both. You want to be able to escalate, but in a way that gets this state, that gets the parasite thought out, that creates that state of mind where you can feel the arousal happening. And this is the difficult part. So now you have this exercise to do. Yeah, you have 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes to get to that state, basically. Yeah. That's not so easy. You will just see no way to escalate that creates the arousal. You'll be like, fuck, I have no idea. I have no fucking idea what to do. It doesn't create arousal. I can think about ways to escalate. Yeah, Alex, you just explained how to do it. But it doesn't create arousal in me. And the thing is, what creates arousal for you will create for her, basically, because this state from which the arousal can happen, this is, it transmits to other. This is one of the main things of Buddhism. There is this story that say that spiritual master, his job is not that much to give you informations, but it's more, his job is more about himself being in an enlightened state, so that when you hang out with him, you yourself get into the same state. Here is a bit the same. If you are in the state of arousal, it will drown girl into the same state, because it will create basically pattern interrupts that we will see later. Basically, pattern interrupts is where it's when things doesn't follow an already known pattern. For example, how to give an example about that? But do you see when we talk like this and we make pauses and then we go back? Why does it create this state? Because first there is the voice we talked about. It is a way to create positive elements in the auditory, which then brings your attention here. But at the same time, the rhythm, pattern interrupts. You don't know when I'm going to talk or not, right? So it draws attention because the consciousness is the place where new decisions take place. This is what is consciousness about. There is the subconscious. Every pattern that is already known is being taken care of. And when there is a new pattern, we need to take a new decision to create a new strategy toward new events. Now it happens in consciousness. This is the highest level of decision making. So when there is a pattern interrupt, which means that it doesn't follow the patterns that we are used to, now we need to be conscious. We need to have attention toward it. We can't think about anything else. We have to be here to create some new strategy. When I make those pauses, why does it create this? Why is it a pattern interrupt? Because yeah, now you know that I'm going to make pauses and talk later. But there is still a pattern interrupt in that. Where does it come from? And here is the key. It comes from the fact that it is a pattern interrupt even for myself. I don't follow a pattern when I do it. I talk and I have absolutely no idea when I will make a pause. I had no idea I was going to make that pause after the no. I didn't know before. I just said no and then, let's make a pause. It came like this. And then I don't know when I will go back. Okay, now let's go back in the moment. And so because even myself, I'm not following a pattern. Even for myself, I don't know what's coming. Then for you, it's impossible to predict as well. The only way you can predict the behavior of someone is if he himself is following a pattern. If himself he is proactively breaking his own pattern in order to put himself in a certain state, then you just have no other choice than yourself getting into the same state of presence, of consciousness, of attention. Because this is a pattern interrupt. If I do a pattern interrupt for myself, it creates the pattern interrupt for yourself as well. Logic, right? And this is why when we approach a woman while being in this state of continuous pattern interrupts, you don't know what's coming. You have created this state where the arousal can happen for yourself. Then it puts the girl in the same state because you will act in a way that is not predictable. Because you yourself have no idea what you're going to do, and you are proactively seeking to break your own pattern because you yourself want to get into that state. If you want you yourself to get aroused sexually, you have to actively be seeking to break patterns. You are in front of this girl, close your eyes. You have to escalate in a way that creates arousal. Then you just have no choice. You have to do things that you were not expecting to do. So for example, you will just have to jump into the unknown. Basically, that's what it is about. For example, just take your right hand up and slowly put her on her hips. Now, make one step closer to her and look at her in the eyes. She's looking at you in the eyes, smiling. Now do what you want. For example, now I had this idea in my head of going forward and kissing her. That was a pattern interrupt. I had no idea I was going to do that. It just came into my mind, right? The thing is that the more you do pattern interrupt one after the other, the more they start to flow in your mind. They start to happen one after the other. And so now you get into this momentum of pattern interrupts, of creativity. And now because of this, you get drawn into the flow of this creativity, and so there is no parasite thought, right? You get all of your subliminal thoughts aligned in the creation of this. And so now, because there is no parasite thought, now you can feel the arousal. You can just stop, look at her, breathe, and feel aroused just by being close to her, because this is a certain level of escalation. So yeah, this will be your job for 5 minutes. Create pattern interrupts while you escalate. And you will see in this product, we are going to merge every advices together. We are going to merge like every advices I'm going to give you. The goal will be to be able to do all of them at the same time. And we will talk about this later a lot. And this is the first example. We are merging escalation and pattern interrupt right now, which should be two distinct things, but we merge them together. Escalate in a way that breaks your own patterns. You can know what's going on. Just start doing something without knowing what you will do after. And your goal is that on the way, now you're like, okay, now what else? What do I want to do now? Yeah, it creates a pattern interrupts. Another thing is that if you are stressed when you're doing it, you will not have time to create the momentum of pattern interrupt in your mind, because it will be interrupted by the parasite thoughts. It's like a battle between them. This is why at the same time we want to have the outside help to get them out. So this is why we want to be leading, we want to be escalating, we will see later talking loud so that we trigger social pressure. We want to trigger the pressure, the threat. We want to trigger the danger upon us so that it helps us to not have the parasite thought. We will talk about this in more depth later. But so for now, yeah, you have this exercise. One of the things that we will see later as well is the idea that if you are not very creative, add constraints and it will make you more creative. We will use it a lot. So here, for example, if you don't know what to do, pick a level of escalation, for example, level 3, arbitrary. And so you go to level 3 of non-verbal escalation. And now you say, okay, by staying at this level, not going up or down, by staying at this level, I have to do the exercise. So you have to do this exercise, but now you have the constraint of being stuck in that level. And then later when you want, you switch. For example, you go level 6, so now you can touch. And you go to level 1. So if you really struggle to get creative and to do the pattern interrupts, play with this. Add constraint. Say, okay, I will go to level 4 and I will stay here. And I will do the exercise at this level. Okay, one little distinction that I should make here that I forgot to make. I said that as a creative constraint, you can choose a level of escalation and that you stay in this level of escalation. Actually, there is a bit of a contradiction in it because sexual arousal comes from precisely playing with the levels of escalation. We're going to see it toward the end of the product, but actually playing with the levels of escalation, this is part of what creates sexual arousal. So of course within each level there is a range, so you can go higher or lower, but instead of seeing it like staying at one level, see it more like staying between multiple levels. See it rather this way. So for example, you will stay between level 1 and level 3, or for example between level 3 and level 5, or for example between level 4 and level 6, and you will play with them. You set a range of levels and you stay within this range. This is what you can do, and alternate between different range and see what comes up. If you become more creative, if you have more idea, if you feel more inspired, and it will change depending on the days. So you will have to adapt to the change and find at every time what range you would prefer to be in and what range you have to work on, what you're more comfortable with, and always go toward the one you're the less comfortable with. If you don't really see at multiple times, again and again, you never see really how to get aroused by one range of escalation. It means you have to work on this because it's going to hinder your ability to be effective at this in your interaction. So view it in this way. This is a creative constraint that you're going to set for this exercise. Do it every single day. When you will get toward the end of the product, you will really, really deeply regret it if you have not done it every single day. Trust me, you will regret it very harshly. Even if you see no way to do it, we will talk about the principle of infinite creativity. No matter how many constraints you put, you will always find infinite ways to create something in those constraints. This is infinite creativity. The brain has infinite capacity for creativity. It's just about training. So this exercise, it will give you a lot of training in your head about how to create ways to escalate. So it will create your own routine, your own habits about escalation. At the same time, it will train the habit to create that state where sexual arousal can happen. And the thing is that even if you are not aroused when you talk to a woman, just by doing these things that allow this state to happen, even if you don't get aroused and even her, at least it creates focus. Even if it's not enough to get to arousal, it will still be some level of focus, which is interesting no matter what. It's a form of happiness, remember. Even if it doesn't go to the point of creating arousal, sexual arousal, it will at least create a form of happiness, right? And this is why we can see some interaction with a woman. A man approaches a woman and they have a very boring conversation. Yeah, so what have you been doing today? Okay, I was shopping, I was going there. What about you? Yeah, I just came out of my place, now I'm going for some food. And this is obsessing, this is passionating, this is very interesting, this conversation. Why? It's the verbal is boring because there is this pattern interrupts. We don't know when we will say the next sentence. We go into the unknown. We play with the chaos. We don't follow patterns. We do, but at the level of the rhythm and at the level of some non-verbal thing, we break patterns. We don't know when we're going to say the next thing or not. So it creates this state of focus. And so even if you say, yeah, I was eating a sandwich. Damn, the salad inside the sandwich, it was so green. What do you think about this color? Green. Do you like it? And just by doing this, even if you talk about things that are very not interesting, this is very interesting because being interested is just about getting positive value. It's about getting happiness. It creates a lot of happiness because this pattern interrupts. It creates the focus, which gets the parasite thought out of the mind and gets on the outside, on neutral elements. And moreover, the interaction creates imaginary positive things. So you're just captivated. And this is a form of happiness. And this is where this framework that we are using in this course is very powerful. Is that by zooming out so much about what is happiness and what people want, we can understand very advanced way to captivate and to seduce. Just talking like this, yeah. How many fingers do you see? Just by saying stupid things like this, you can captivate. Because this pattern interrupts this rhythm, the voice you're using, those kind of tools, they create the happiness. You want more, it gets you the happiness, not the same form of happiness that we are used to, which is just positive elements. This is the one we are the most used into the Occidental world, but this is not the most powerful form of happiness. This is the focus on the neutral, like this, the captivation, the presence. This is the most intense. And if you bring a woman into that state by doing it yourself, it's very powerful. Now the thing is, if you do that while being stressed and having parasite thought, then it doesn't work because you don't have access to the creativity to actually break pattern. And so what will happen is that just you will not be able to break the pattern. You will just follow them just by default. You will be stressed, so you will just follow patterns that you already know. You need to have a minimum of momentum to be able to break the pattern. Right. So this will be the difference between talking about your sandwich in a way that is extremely boring or in a way that is absolutely captivating. The difference is that in the second one, you have that ability to find ways to break patterns in the way you talk and in what you say after. In the first one, you don't. Right? Does it make sense? So basically, that's what this exercise is about. We isolate the escalation and doing it in a way that creates this pattern interrupts, and so that creates the state for arousal, right? And it's the same as with a sandwich, but this time it's non-verbal. And you can use verbal as well, as we saw, but it's about creating the non-verbal picture in the brain. And here we isolated this, which means that you don't have to deal with bullshit such as her not wanting to be escalated on, or not wanting to escalate you, or not talking back, or looking mean. Now she is really into you, everything is on. You just have to focus on creating the arousal. So it will really get you good at this. And because of this, as I said, there is many reasons why focusing on the second game is what will get you good at the first game. You will see by doing this exercise every evening. The first game, the ability to create attraction, will be very easy because you will have the alpha vibe that develops by doing this. And by doing the other exercise that we will see later and that we are going to combine with this one. Right, let's jump onto next part.